Okay, today I started. So today JavaScript. So we already done with HTML and CSS. So if you have any questions, then move it to JavaScript. Uh, it's okay. I was like that, but I guess the full text is coming. So I've added it. No, not
PowerPoint is not showing.
no, it's not that thing. Okay, so JavaScript thing. So JavaScript is a language which basically came from basically a type ECMAScript. We'll discuss about it in the next slide. But basic JavaScript is a language which executes in a host environment, mostly browser, and maybe anything, maybe like some desktop application or anything else, a phone app or something. Then the next thing is interpreted language. So it's not command all. It's get interpreted one by one by a JavaScript engine inside the browser. And major use a page dynamic. You can change the page content. You can change the display the elements and all. You can do a lot of validations, form validations. You can make background communication with the server using Ajax, other things. Okay.
What is the relation with Java?
Because both came from Sun Systems in not Mozilla.
JavaScript was by
Netscape. Actually, that time Java was too popular, so they wanted to cache that success. So they named JavaScript, and the syntax also matches with Java in a way like it. This is quite similar to C-like, and Java's syntax is also quite similar to C. So that's JavaScript also matches
The syntax is thing that
the only the reason they named it JavaScript because they wanted to cache the popularity of Java. Yeah.
So it was basically the term marketing kind of thing.
Because initially the name was LiveScript, as in this. In the,
What is the relationship between Ajax and Java?
so okay, let me answer this question. Ajax full form is sort of asynchronous JavaScript and XML. So basically we have one object available in JavaScript. Using that you can make in the background asynchronous calls to the server. So this full form Ajax came. Is just a part of JavaScript. We'll take it in the.
So Ajax is like a paradigm kind of thing, or how you supplement, like a design pattern kind of thing, or like that, or a mechanism in the web, say basically world on how you can invoke a call back to the server. But I mean, of course, the own browser language is basically each JavaScript. There is no other programming language in the browser. So it's one of our most popular language.
Yeah. So as the slide says, initially LiveScript came from Netscape and Microsoft, because that time those were two major browsers, Net Navigator and Microsoft Internet Explorer. So Netscape launched LiveScript. Parallelly, Microsoft launched JScript. Then this ECMA is a European Computer Manufacturers Association. Then ECMAScript is more like a standard thing. There is nothing like actual language. So basically, then they both decided to model their language. Both JScript and LiveScript became JavaScript thing, and now it's based upon ECMAScript, and the current version is 5.1. Next version is in the progress. Yeah, and ECMAScript only works behind the JavaScript. ActionScript also follows that, and script is also another language which can be used in desktop environment. So ECMAScript is defined as from the definition we see can provide core scripting capabilities for a variety of host environments, and therefore the core scripting language is specified apart from any particular host environment. So ECMAScript never talks about like what type of environment capabilities. it talks the capabilities of the language. Okay, and we talk about the JavaScript. So JavaScript actually runs inside a browser, and when in the browser about the JavaScript, that page once it's loaded becomes a document inside the browser, and everything gets converted into some objects, and in a hierarchical manner, just like a kind of structure. So when you receive this kind of HTML, one browser parses it, then converts it to internally in memory structure like this. That is called document object model. And DOM provides you one API to access the DOM, and you can verify it, you can read it from JavaScript. So before like starting the JavaScript, let's first start like where will this JavaScript will execute, and what type of objects it will communicate. I put the DOM first, and also there is browser object model BOM. So basically, because a host environment, it provides a object, and that object is called window. Let's go to the next slide. That makes more sense here. So window is the default object inside your browser from the JavaScript, and which further contains document, and document further contains all this anchor, form, images. So these are all objects which you can interact using JavaScript. If you say okay, document dot location, and then you give some value, browser will change the location of your page, redirect to the next page. So these objects which are by default there, and browser basically provides you, and also provides you one API to interact with it. Okay, how in detail how that works and all that. But the basic object we have in the JavaScript. And one more slide to understand like what exactly. So you load page. Let's go back to this slide. Yeah, and you page in the browser. Let's say there is no JavaScript. So browser reads, parses this, creates a DOM for it. Okay. Whenever you add a script tag in the page, so there add your JavaScript code. So that code start executing. It also creates one internally in the map a JavaScript means I would say objects and JavaScript variables, all that stuff. So in JavaScript, everything is an object. That is a very big line which we should stick. So everything is an object, and these objects are more like hash tables. So everything is like a key value pair. Whether it's a property or a method, it's like a key value in JavaScript. So, and DOM is separate, and from JS word, from the JavaScript, you can access any of the DOM part. But those two things are separate.
Go back.
This one?
Yeah.
And you can go in any detail with any of the objects, like what are that object, what are the various methods available and all. But
in this BOM, anywhere that actually comes in the page, and you can
see there, the document
is the same.
Yes, whatever is there, document, and after that.
So basically, you have not listed all. It might contain.
So see this much. Okay, I'm moving my mouse here. You can see that this much part is the DOM. The rest, the whole picture is BOM. Basically, DOM is also part of BOM browser model. Okay.
And what is the location in on the left side, and what is the location?
That is like it's available in the both. Like you can also say window.location, you can also say document.location.
No, so the effect will be on the
same. See, initially there were no tabs. Now it makes more sense. Tabs.
So if you say dot location.
No, still it will point to the address bar entry. But see, initially it came a part of let's say window, but now every has its own DOM, so they also added it into the DOM. But maybe we are talking about the same.
So do you play with the Chrome console or something, or you plan to do that?
Yeah, no, I will come to the
Okay,
Chrome console. But initially I was going through the theory and all. Probably will come to the okay.
So much clear, right?
No, yeah, if you want, we can definitely see. We can open any site and yahoo.com. I mean, okay, let's make it a little more clear. So, don't talk much about this Chrome bugger. Okay, so open console. Oh, so many errors in Yahoo. Okay. So, okay, we were saying what is window dot location. What is it's an object which further contains all these entries. Okay, dot location dot host name href origin path name.
Yeah, href is the one, right?
Yeah. Okay, and similarly, I don't think document dot no location. Same objects, but just because the how in language, so it's available in the both in the document.
Is it basically routing to the same form?
The same object, but there are two names available.
So one question on
Sure.
sites and all that, there are times you place your link, so either open on the same window, or you open in a new tab, or you can open a new window itself. So those things are controlled using these bombs and all?
No. That of HTML use specify attribute target and
So window dot open.
yeah, open. Yeah, it always open in the.
No, you can open a new window.
New window. Open
That's what, but you can't reopen. Then you have to change the location, window dot location. That point was.
Okay. Yeah. So it will completely different DOM after that than other windows. But you could do from the.
Yeah, but you can definitely open a.
Do from the JavaScript is here.
Yeah, window dot open function is available. Yeah. Okay, JS in web page. Either add a script tag and after that you write all your JavaScript code. You can do you can add a external file, JavaScript file, and use that. I mean,
So
code
it is going to be same like CSS.
just like CSS.
If it's in a file.
Yeah, and reuse it. Yeah. So if you have some page specific code that you should write inside the script tag on that page. Otherwise, better if you are like loading some library or common code, put it inside some separate file and include.
I think the preference will be same like yesterday you said.
No, in JavaScript there is no concept like
No, what if
JavaScript
common method names, function names are there?
No, JavaScript whoever comes after that like override the first one. Have those kind of and all, because in JavaScript nothing is like common. In C all are like selectors and values. So you have this concept of overriding. In JavaScript it's not like that. You don't have like common methods or means common values or something.
But common function can still be there, right?
No, common function can be there. The only rule is whoever comes after, that's the
It's a scripting language like Python only. Yes, in Python also the same thing, right? So it executes, interpreter comes, by the time whatever value is the value gets executed.
So latest one,
so you can have reusable function. Or
that will come to that object and all. For now, the only thing is like if whoever is the latest, it's the gets called. Let's go JavaScript basic. About more the basic language. So it's like C and Java in the like for loop, cases, how you function, how you define a function. Most like C and Java. Everything is case sensitive. So
like a semicolon, you better not miss it.
yeah. again, it's a old line. It's optional, but you should not miss it.
Because it will screw up your...
when you press it,
support,
yeah,
right?
you compress it, there may be some issues come. Okay.
It's better to follow.
Yeah. And comments are again in the same way like Java multi-line comment and single line. / is single line, and then / is for line comment. Variables. So in JavaScript, first thing is there is not much concept of defining a data type of a variable. You just it's a variable, and based on what you will store inside, like Python and JavaScript are quite similar. Whatever you will save inside that variable, based upon that, the data type will be decided. So there is one more thing I want to add here. When you var, variable declaration happens in the global scope. The local scope. Defining a variable inside a function, and you say var, so it's local variable. If you do that, it will take the global namespace. Let me to first explain the global and
so we will learn the scope later on. It's very important to explain it.
No need to cover that in the next one.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, because little and one. Only I would say the variable declaration is optional.
Again, you should not do that.
It's a practice. Because it could be a function.
You can say that, but the only problem is then it goes into the global scope, which is the recommended thing.
So basically, they say there is a very good book called The Good and the Bad.
Yeah,
so in the group says that don't do that optional thing. I mean, the variable declaration always have a set.
Should have.
And make sure you're using the Eclipse plugin. What's that over? Space and
yeah.
So it also cache that. Because we found many bugs. I remember you were part of it. One of the things we found in code, it wasn't basically defined, and some other function relying on that, or it got indirectly. So we went and I don't know if it was you, it was me, and we went kind of fixed it to put up hard, and it created many bugs. So because it was
you should not do that, and we'll explain the concept of this namespace.
So I think
scope.
On wiki we have a link like what is it?
Best practices.
We should have mentioned. This is
mentioned. Also,
so any one of us starts going to develop, Java development. But I would also explain exactly. I would
I'll
remove the line or say very clearly in like
we will define
that language allows it option, but it's a practice strongly. Correct.
Yeah, you should not do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, put that in the slide as well.
I will
I'm
do
gonna put those out. I want to make sure nobody. But the slide told me it's optional.
Okay, sure.
That's just an interview question. You can forget it is optional.
Okay, so keywords. We have these keywords. You can like go one by one, but they again mostly like C or Java kind of. You are mostly familiar with most of them.
Yeah.
So, and we go one by one as they come along. So these words you not see some of them inside the JavaScript code because they are reserved for versions of JavaScript. For example, class is a word, but right now there is nothing like class. And there are standard statements, same in the way the Java and C, if, do, while, we are familiar with it. So for is a good iterator kind of loop available. So you can iterate inside any object. So by default, everything inside JavaScript is an object. So you can say for and in and one it will loop through all the properties in that object.
Oh, so if the object is of an array type, so it will loop through that array. If
yes, exactly. In an object type, then it will go through all the properties or the keys and yeah. So handy kind of loop. I'll try to understand the data type concept in JavaScript. So there are two types of data types. One is primitive types, which is like which a fixed set of I would say memory space. So for so these are available primitive type of data type. One is undefined, null, boolean, number, and string. So like built-in kind of objects, special objects, and there the space which they takes in the middle is a constant. So those get saved on the stack. So next slide I will show next. So all those primitive values, they goes on the stack. Undefined is the value basically when you don't define a variable. So you what else? Okay. So means if you have one variable, let's go back to this thing. Let's try to print something ABC. It's not defined, so it's a reference error. But if I type of ABC, type, wait. Yeah, type of ABC. What is type of is a very handy keyword available in JavaScript, which is, so that's why I have highlighted it. So for variable, there is no way to, you can define like what the data type. So one time when you want to check like what is the data type, so then you can use the type of, and it will tell you what type of data variable it is. So we're doing here. So don't define a variable and try to use it. So that
means there is no equal to something. That part is not there.
No,
because if you say equal to something string,
yeah.
So then it is a string variable, right? So it means you have defined it. That's what
I didn't get it.
The meaning of undefined. If you say equal to some ABC,
yeah, by
ABC equal to Amit,
yeah.
That means it is a string. It is not undefined.
Yes, what we'll do now, we'll select ABC is anything test, and then now if we do the same thing, type of ABC, it will say string. Okay, so
it means if we just put a variable, that's all. We have not done anything equal or anything. We have not signed anything to it.
Yeah.
It is undefined.
Yes, and let's come back to the next is null. Null is like when variable, it's like defined, but it's the null special value. Nothing. Some special byte or something which gets stored. JavaScript recognizes that, and when you use null, assign that value.
I can say A equals null, right?
Yes. So even let's say if I say A is equal to empty string, so the empty string is null. So when I do A, type of no, because let me try something else.
Empty is not A, and then it is by default null if you don't assign anything.
Let me define something else. No. B A. Null works mostly with the objects. References. Oh yeah.
Null only object. One object in.
I'm getting confused here. So.
Only one object.
So what do you do to
Trying to explain null.
It's empty, right? Basically, you can assign B equal to null.
B equal to null.
So,
And B is still valid and it's null. Yeah.
yeah, null. But null is also, as I was saying, it's for reference kind of thing. So if you use a variable and it's a reference kind of variable and it's not pointing to anything, then it's to null.
So when you use undefined, this is not even does anything. That is undefined.
Null is, for example, you have some object and you want to like remove it, sort of. So you can point it to null.
Collection part.
Yeah.
But one part is actually you do the reverse. Most of the time you don't know whether variable is a value or
Yeah.
and you do this.
We would have a variable like
equal to undefined.
yeah.
As a string. So never use null say condition that O is B equal to null. Then you don't know the variable exists or not or may not exist. So it is undefined and then do any operation on it.
Okay. And Boolean is again true and false. There are two values available. So these are string, kind of not string actually, but
indirectly type false and true.
yes. So special value. So you can say
They are really part of
is
keywords only.
true, and then you print ABC. This.
So all derivative types.
Yeah.
So you
They are
think in
special
object.
objects
Yes.
get stored on the stack. So that is a difference.
The way, I mean, the sequence you find.
And the more thing to look at is you need not to like say create and use a new word to create an object of this. You can directly say A is equal to 5. Then it's kind of number and number string, or you can say BC is equal to test string in double quotes. So you need not to say new. Even you are allocating memory, you are a new variable, but still you need not to say no because they are primitive types. All these 5, everything is a reference of. This kind is either you use an inbuilt object, JavaScript, or you create your own object. So there are 3 ways we can define objects in JavaScript. Using object, either you want to call it class or you can call it object. In JavaScript, both are same. So comfortable to you. This is a built-in object in JavaScript you can use to create your own objects. So if we say car is new object, car is a blank object, but an object. Okay. Another way, there is a way in which JavaScript you can define objects using a constructor function. So you say where my class, because it's behave like class. So you can say where my class is a function. And using that function, you are creating an object. That is like quite similar to here, not any keyword or something. It's a very name only. Yeah.
So what it will do actually, when you say new my class, it will go and call that function, is it?
When say it will call that function and return you an object. Okay, do this thing again inside. That will make more sense here. So I can create blank object using where my object or any variable name. Object. Okay. So my object. So it's a object right now. There is no property with. You can create if you want. All of this in tomorrow's session. All object and in detail, like how to create object and everything. My object lot, let's say A is equal to 10, and say my object dot A, it will 10. Okay. JavaScript, you dynamically add property or methods to any object. Okay.
What is the class?
Okay, JavaScript, there is nothing called class. There is a keyword or not even any functionality in which you can say, okay, this is my class, and using that class, I want to create some objects. So what is available is one thing is this diff object, which can use to create more objects. Okay, and so first you get some blank and you can fill it data inside your object. That is one way. The other is you use a constructor function. So function use function, this is function for example, and you can say this dot okay. So no, dot A you are defining. Similar
in a my function object.
in my function, it's like inside the class to add your any variable. It's like that only. Okay. So when you define, okay, now you have something called my function. It will look like in class because I can say my object new function. So my object. So see, I can say my object dot A, working just like an object-oriented language. So you can create objects using your class. But
We can access to it through my func also, my func dot A, or we can say my object.
No, my func dot A is not, my function dot A is nothing.
Anything.
Nothing. Because see, my function is a function. See, if you see this definition, right now my function is a function, constructor function. Unless you create an object of it, you access A. Okay. These things are very confusing, so please, I want to stop you here because I want to go more details into this object, classes, and functions. Because we were discussing something else, let's go back to that. So we were talking about reference types. So the all data objects which we create using either our function or it's a default JavaScript function, they are reference types. They get saved on the heap memory, and address of that thing gets stored over the stack. So when you say where my object is a reference object, so the object itself gets saved on the heap, and the address gets saved on the stack. So I don't know. Looks like I did this slide, but I don't want to like start today because I want to cover this class object in more detail tomorrow. The only thing to remember, we already discussed, there is no class keyword available inside the JavaScript. Just others language, Python, Java, C. Classes and objects are dynamic. Because again, there is nothing like classes and objects, only objects are there, and they are very much dynamic. You can change them at runtime, you can add properties, you can remove properties. Bits which you can use, like you have seen, this provide a dummy, not dummy, actually a blank object. Then function object which you use to create a function. But other is also the same way which we have defined, like using the function syntax. We will also see all that in the next slides. The difference to define functions. Array, then string, boolean, number, date. Date is very good. Regular expression object, error, and various error objects. If error, range error, reference error, syntax type error, and URI error. Okay, so these are like all built-in objects. So today let's discuss how different ways we can define functions. Functions are again standard in JavaScript. We need not to define a return type. Of the function can return anything. Any function can return anything. If you don't define anything, it will return undefined. Okay, it's there in the next slide. Function return any data type. If you don't add any return statement, it will by default return a undefined value.
Oh, and something will return.
Yes,
by
obviously.
You or by the system.
Yeah. And functions are objects, is anyways covered. So let's get back to this slide. So function we can define in three ways. This using the JavaScript native where you say function, the function name, all the arguments. You need not to tell what type of argument. There is no concept. Yeah, data type. And they're optional also, even if you don't say I have added a comma b, and if b is not there and I'm trying to call that function, Java won't say anything. It's okay. It will assume it's undefined. Other things, so we have talked about return type, we have talked about the arguments, and there is a special object available inside every function, which is called arguments. You can use it for to extra arguments. So you need not to say like how many arguments can come inside my function. So anybody can call your function with any arguments. Then using that argument property, you can like what arguments available, how many, and based on that you can do the code. The other way is, this is anonymous function, because when you are defining a function, you are not giving it any name. So look at the right hand part of the this line where you say function A and then you are saying alert A. So you have defined a function and given it a name. But defining it like this, so JavaScript internally define the function and pass that link to that and assign it to a variable. So that is as show info. So in these two lines, functionality wise, both functions behave in the same way. So the two ways you can define functions. Third, I include it because where you use it, and this is a recommended way, because in terms of performance wise, it's not a good way. So using that built-in JavaScript object function, you can also create functions. So first you provide arguments, a comma b, whatever, and then in the string you have to put your function code.
One question.
Yeah.
So just like earlier, when first came, you have always say variable var, just don't define like a equals 10. Always say v equals 10. So out of the first and second form is more
which is a recommended way, and why do we do that?
Okay, let me tell you. In terms of performance, the first way is better than the next way. So see, the thing is, there's not much difference between that scope kind of thing doesn't apply here, because both are getting defined in the same scope here. Define a function inside function, by default it gets the local scope. It's not like the variable. If you find a variable that is about primitive type, if you say a is 10, then that variable goes into the global scope. But in a function, browser remembers, okay, because you are finding the function inside a function, it keeps the function inside the local scope. So these two ways are equally.
So exactly one, the first one and second one are exactly the same.
Nearly same. The only use case of this thing is sometime when you want to pass, when you are defining your function, then you can use this kind of thing and then pass that name as an argument to some function or something like that.
For that one you cannot do.
That is right as a I would say as a programmer, when you are writing your code, JS code, then you can do that. But that you can dynamically also using in a for loop or something. We can do in that the initial case.
Bautik can put more light on that. The two stacks for defining a function. One is
First two.
So first, like you are defining the name of function. Other one is in the variable. So what is the use case of that, and when
we don't use
the third one we don't.
Third one I have already said. Third one is nobody uses.
The first two, like we.
So I think the first one is of course very easy to understand, right? And easy to do when you're doing coding. Number two is what you do mostly in the
Most of the time. Yeah.
When you even create a class in a dojo and stuff like that, except for the .declare, everywhere else you use. In fact,
it's all the same. Only
you're not assigning a variable, but I think
So now if you talk about
why do
dojo
we
and all,
assigning to variable, and what
you can pass it around, right?
you can
No. You you can also pass the first one also. Means if,
Right.
even if you have defined it like this, show info, you can pass show info as
The
an argument.
also as a,
But
show info is also an object, right? That also
Okay,
is
but
object.
only thing which you can use the second one is, for example, let's say you are using inside a for loop and you are dynamically creating some functions, like some event handlers. Okay, there even if you want to make something dynamic, even the variable name or something, then you can use this one. But if writing your code in the developer and you're not writing the class based code, then you can use the first one. In terms of performance or functionality, there is no difference. It's more of defining the function, that's it. And we use this one more. Second one. Because you're doing all the class type of programming, then that's the way of
because
defining.
get used to that format, it gets harder once you, because all us old guys who came from the first one, it gets harder to go to the second one.
Exactly.
All that general JavaScript program.
Yeah, but nowadays you don't define too many global functions.
Right.
So
Actually, totally frowned upon. Yeah, you would not do global functions as much. You would do
Yeah.
it in a module or a package, basically. So that.
So it middle one. That's the decision, I would say.
Mostly when people start touching our UI code, that is where you find.
But
So that is what they will find. So they are using the same things.
you see all this global function in the old NDC based UI and the
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's already done.
Mostly that's what.
Okay, let's talk about function scope. This is not the variable scope. That is different. So in case of functions, when you define a function using the first approach, like this, and inside page level, means it's not inside a function, because in JavaScript you can define function inside a function. So when a parent global scope and in a function, it's always there inside the Windows scope. Windows special bomb variable which we have seen.
Yeah, the most interesting thing in the JavaScript compared to Python and many other languages. Actually, in a Python also, if you see, you must have said 100 times, right? So why the hell the first parameter of a method is always basically you to
You have to self.
So the whole point out here, if you compare to that, it's only it's a keyword basically. Yes.
Yeah.
But always means the immediate function or the thing out here. As in the Python, they made it very explicit.
Yeah, you have to pass as the first parameter.
Yeah. So in that, this is very important to understand, because you can have the same function if attached to this particular object. Basically, this will be say that particular object. But say now you attach. So I think is where the concept of a function he was pointing to, that you can reuse the function, right? You define the variable, attach anywhere you want, and in the function, if you have used the keyword basically this, so it means it is attached to.
Okay. Let me explain it more, because it's there in the slide. So by default, see, JavaScript is executing inside the browser, and the browser has a Windows named object. So default every global scope, a global function or every global variable belongs to this window dot scope, window whatever it is. We can see that then it will make more sense. Let's say go back to Chrome, and we have defined something A is 10. A is 10. Okay. Let me do window dot A 10. While declaring the variable, we haven't said that window dot A is 10. So we haven't specified any scope here in the Windows scope or a global scope. Okay. When I find a function or any variable inside a function, then it is a local scope inside that function. And we were talking about more function scope. So by default, even every function, unless we say I find inside another function, here in the global scope. Okay, this is a special keyword. It works like some other languages, which always point to the current object inside the function. Let's say, okay, let's go back to, right now we are not inside any function, and we try to print this. What it prints? Window. So by default, This always point to the current object where your function code is executing or you have called. Means in which scope. By default, the scope is window. Okay. Let's quickly try to try to understand it. Hey, one second. Okay. Let's some my function is function and or if we can use console.log.
Don't do the closing bracket function.
Oh yeah.
And then open. This is interesting, very nice example.
Okay. So if let's say let's try to call directly this function. Yeah. No, let me call this. Yeah. So
Window.
yeah, okay. It's window. So by default, when we use this function, this to the window because we have one function and we called it without giving any scope. So no scope. The scope is window. That is always there. Let's create one object of this thing. My object, my function.
This is recorded, right?
Yeah, I'm getting it recorded. Okay, so now let's call this function. My object, and what was our
My phone.
no. Looks like no.
You call my object. This you call my object because it's a function.
No, you can't call object my object. Okay, what I'm trying to do is
Oh, you made it a constructor function.
I should have used some other
You
function.
created an instance, right? Or
No, let me do something else. Okay, let me do where some obj1 is some blank object. Okay, and let me call this function object. No, my function.
all passing object.
No. Now I'm using this thing dot call. Now object1 and do I need to add any argument? No.
That's all right.
So this point to the object. So now let's get back to the slide. Let's quickly go through the call and apply. Call and apply are two functions from JavaScript. Special because using those two functions, you call any function in with a specific scope. Scope is always an object. Remember, it is always an object, and everything is an object. So when I say function, whatever function you say, what name? In our case, we have said like function, which is a function, and call it with of object1. So our this started pointing to the current object which we passed. That way, you can define any function, call it in any scope. So it is very handy. So in that way, you define a function and then use that function with objects. Any object you can call, and then it start pointing to that object. Think about some utility function like print attributes, print methods, or something like that. You find that function and you use this inside that. Then all you do, you have to
The right object.
yeah, you have pass that object and it will print those property method of that object. So there is binding basically a function and an object.
Okay.
That was my point. So you can always call a function with any scope.
Okay. So basically, that function can be applied on any object basically.
Yeah. Because one
Any
thing
object or any class.
one thing we are missing here, right?
There is no data type also. Like,
Yeah. One thing which we are missing here, where it is. Let me go back. I wanted to
from Java, it looks too much.
Actually,
Like
if you come from a very
No.
structured programming, this
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
like,
please.
why how can you do that?
Yeah, Python is also Python is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First, learn
But yeah, Python
Java
also initially
and
we were
then
learning.
learn JavaScript.
Python also initially when we were learning, so same thing was like we have come structured language Java. How can you do that? I mean, this will create so many problems.
Wild world.
Yeah.
See,
The JavaScript.
Yeah.
Let's
Ignore whatever.
Yeah, let's look at the positive side, because this type of thing can gives you very good type of data structures, or I mean the way you can model your requirement using all
Lots
this.
of flexibility
Yeah.
actually you
Because it's so
I think
flexible.
it's where it's very important that as a group you agree what is the thing you want to do, because here you can do things in a with a very different.
Yeah.
So it's not always
yeah. So in a group, and you yourself have to get into a discipline way how you want to do it, right? Because
Yes, that's a disadvantage, because JavaScript by it won't stop you. You can do all crazy things,
right.
but as a developer, it's your responsibility to use everything with a good design pattern kind
Yeah,
of.
so in a review don't say, oh, but it works, I'm not gonna have to take care of your
Yep.
comment, that won't work.
That's right.
Yeah. So one which we
But it works.
okay.
After it will become very difficult for others.
Okay.
That is why we
Let's.
don't know standard phrasing.
Hey guys, like last point I want to add is we haven't discussed about when we are defining a function, we can add more inside that function. Like we have said, like this dot a is 10. We can simply say this dot say hello, and inside that we could have said console.log is this.
Okay.
So, and those are methods.
Mhm.
That case, we could like simply, when we have created our object and using object dot that function, we could have called that function. If I can show it to you today, or maybe we'll see all this cleanness of the object orientedness in JavaScript or prototype, others.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so should we stop for today?
Yes, the interesting part, your functions also is objects basically, so the hard part